So UFC 240 happened over this past weekend, and in the main event, Max Holloway defeated Frankie Edgar 5 rounds to 0. That makes Frankie Edgar 0-5 in his last 5 title fights, and puts him in a kind of an awkward position. But I'll tell you, there's been one super fight that I've been dying to see ever since 2011, and I think the fight didn't make a lot of sense to make at the time in 2011, and hasn't really materialized since then. But now is the perfect time to make the fight, and that's Frankie Edgar versus Dominick Cruz. Now, going all the way back to 2011, I was attending UFC 129 as a fan, and there was a big UFC fan expo. This was UFC 129 was Shields versus St. Pierre in Toronto. And the UFC, so at the start of 2011, the WEC got absorbed into the UFC. So the UFC was doing, at the fan expo, a panel, so to speak, with the 7 champions. So that was the 135 to the heavyweight champions. And when they were doing that press conference, I just thought to myself, man, I mean, Dominick Cruz and Frankie Edgar, they're about the same size. And sure, Frankie's the champ at 155, Cruz is the champ at 135. What a super fight it would be if we could get those two champions to meet in the middle at 145 and just have a fun super fight. Obviously, that doesn't make a lot of sense for the UFC. They want their champions defending their belts. They don't want them fighting in non-championship bouts. So that didn't really make sense at the time. But hey, now both fighters are coming off of loss in championship bouts to much, much younger opponents, which means that, both their fights were championship bouts, so they're both really competitively relevant still, even though they're both absolute legends of the sport. So this is a rare time where you can see two absolute legends of the sport that you really didn't think were ever going to face each other that are still very competitively relevant, and we could get that matchup now. I think an interesting idea would be the meet in the middle idea, like I was saying about when Frankie was the 55 champ and Cruz was the 35 champ, meet in the middle at 45. Well, Frankie's been fighting at 45. He seems a little bit apprehensive about maybe cutting all the weight down to 35. So this could be a great dip your toe in the water. You make the fight at a catch weight, 140 pounds. It would be an excellent main event for a big ESPN card because you want that fight to be 5 rounds, so you want it to be a main event. And you could do that fight in early 2020. Dominick Cruz is supposed to be healthy by early 2020. That'll give Frankie a little bit of time to recover after that. And then the winner of that fight could easily step in for a number 1 contender or interim title fight at 135 pounds right after that. Obviously, we don't know. The 135-pound division is a little bit murky right now with the way Cejudo is double champion, and he's probably going to take on Benavidez next. So there will probably be an interim title fight between Aljamain and Peter Yan coming up down the road. So who knows? It could be, but the winner of Cruz and Edgar could definitely step right into a 135-pound either number 1 contender or interim title fight, depending on the state of the division. And then either of those guys, both those guys are definitely looking to get back into title contention. That's where the big money is. That's where, they're going to be able to really cement themselves as absolute legends, even though they both are already legends of the sport. Both guys have amazing footwork, amazing cardio, great boxing. I think that this is an insanely compelling matchup, and I think it's a really competitive matchup. I think it's the time to make the matchup, and man, I'm just excited for this fight. I've been clamoring for this since 2011. I think I'm the only person I've ever heard talk about this fight. And now's the time to make it. It really, really makes a lot of sense. Frankie, like I said, I know the UFC doesn't like to do catch weights, but I think it makes a lot of sense to do it at a catch weight of 140. I think Cruz would, cut 5 less pounds. That'd be fun for him. Frankie could dip his toe in the water with cutting a little bit of extra weight, see how he feels at 140, see if he really thinks he could be competitive at 135. And then whoever loses, I'm not sure where they go from there, but the winner, like I said, easily can slip into a number 1 contender or a interim title fight. They would instantly be, probably the biggest name in the division. And I think that both fighters right now are still very competitively relevant. And I would rather see them fight each other than fight these young up-and-comers. I really don't want to see Frankie stick around at 45 and fight Arnold Allen. it's just not as compelling to me as him fighting another legend and trying to reinvent himself at another weight class. Anyways, what would you like to see Frankie do next? What would you like to see Cruz next? I'm not sure. Comment below, please, and subscribe to my channel. Like the video if you like it. Please follow me on Twitter at Empey Talks. That's the primary social media platform that I'm trying to grow. You can also follow me on Instagram and or Facebook, Joel Empey Talks on both of those platforms. But like I said, Twitter is going to be the primary platform that I'm going to be posting on and actually trying to build my brand over there. So new video will be coming up Thursday. I'm going to be talking about Covington and title shots at 170, and looking forward to the upcoming card this weekend. Cheers, guys.